was the hottest day in the year. I remember it all going round, and then down I went, and I rolled down the bank onto the road, because there was all gravel in my hands and my arms. And I laid on the side of the road, and all these little children come round. And the little girl said, "Is she dead?" And the boy said, "No, don't be so silly. They call him Ned. He's a lovely little boy." He said, "No." He said, "Are you all right, Aunt Tilly?" I said, "No." I said, "I'm poorly." He said, "I'll go and get Uncle John." I said, "Yes." I said, and his granny was looking through the window, and she says, "What's my?" He said, "It's Aunt Tilly, she's ill." He said, "Send for the ambulance." She said, "Yes." And the ambulance come with a blue light on. All the kids wanted to get in it. "We'll go with her to hospital. We'll go with her. We're looking after her."
I have been a carer, full-time carer, and I am now caring in some informal way for various friends and relatives, even older than myself, in a situation where I'm really not a recognised carer, but where I feel that I do have or have taken on some commitment and responsibility.
My family live fairly near, so I see them. And I used to have a lot of visitors, but you know, they tail off. I don't know why, but they just do. They phone, I've got a phone, which I like. I like to have, well, Richard, my son, phones every morning, and I phone my daughter at night.
I'm a full-time carer, have been since April 1991, so we're coming up for 18 and a half years. I care for my wife Sheila, who has multiple disabilities. She has osteoarthritis, emphysema, so she's on oxygen continuously, and also she has a very nervous disposition, slight mental health condition, because she was attacked at gunpoint in 1991 and had a nervous breakdown. Like lots of carers out there, I've given up my job to look after my wife. There's no issue with that. She's my wife, I love her, and I don't see it as a chore. But in doing so, I forfeited all of the opportunities we had of any sort of normal income and any sort of normality in our life. Most of us are looking after people that we love very dearly, so we don't see it as a chore. But we do save the country and the taxpayer phenomenal amounts of money, and we get little back in return.
I'm now just gone 81 years of age. I'm of Yugoslav origin. I was born in Bosnia. I left former Yugoslavia back in 1943. In 1948 I came to this country and I'm still here. Not all members of my family abroad have the computers, but some of them do. And it's through them or via them that I can get in touch, get information that I'm interested in. I use the library. We have a very nice library here in this area. They're very helpful there anytime one needs some special information, specific information. They are always there to help.
The home library service, this was where people had, volunteers actually went out to elderly people. What we found there was, it was an invaluable service to them. We found that in many cases, the volunteer worker was the only person they came into contact with, and they felt it was their lifeline. They believed it was just so important to their general well-being.
He'd had diabetes for many years and was also living alone. And I think we only found out later that he probably hadn't been taking his medication properly, and at the same time, when he did take his medication, he hadn't been eating properly. So there were many themes there about how does he make sure that he eats, and how does he make sure that he controls his medication, and how does he control his blood sugar. In the end, we're not quite sure about what actually happened, but he became quite seriously ill, and the neighbours heard him shouting and called the ambulance, and he was taken into hospital. My brother phoned me and told me that this doesn't look like a good thing, so I came over to see, okay, what's going on, and to find out how he was and everything. I found firstly I had to deal with my own feelings, which were quite hard, because it's not easy to lose your mum or your dad, and so that I found quite difficult. And when I started to work with that and got to see him and found out how he was and what was happening, I found myself getting very angry almost all the time, because of a lot of things like very poor information. Nobody really knew what was happening or what was happening to him, but nobody was saying they don't know, and that was quite frustrating. Because if somebody comes and says, well, we don't really know what's happening, then you can deal with that. Then you can say, okay, they're looking for it. But they didn't know, and they kept giving us things which they then withdrew. How the family dealt with it was they panicked. I mean, we all panicked. We didn't know what the hell was going on. The first thing was, okay, how do we get him back home so that at least he can die at home if he wants to die at home? How do we take care of looking after him? How do we do the care services? How do we manage to organise the support that he might need at home? The thing was, you couldn't get clear information. You had I don't know what they're called, the hospital occupational therapists doing something, you had the doctors saying something else, and then we had to find out, okay, where do we get money, or what are the processes of paying for all this care. Issues like dad and mum being divorced became very, very painful, especially as we started to realise dad was dying, and it was clear that he wasn't going to get better. And I think we don't understand this process that happens when somebody starts to die. And the pain and the confusion, the frustration, the sadness, the unresolved stuff that we have with this person, with our parent or with a friend, that blocks any kind of logical way to react. You just cannot be logical. We need someone. In situations like this, we need someone. It's great if it's someone, I mean, it used to be like the local priest, the local parish priest who would be able to support, but the community's too big now. So we need someone else. We need someone not just trained in something like that, but we need someone who's going to be human. That's the quality that I think comes over the most. Who's prepared to sit and listen and sometimes even cry with you, and say, I know where that is. I've experienced this. I can understand, to empathise with the person in every sense. And then that's one thing. The other thing is information. This person is also able to say, it's okay, we'll deal with that later. Right now, you're grieving. Let's deal with that first. Take your time and grieve. This stuff will come to, because I know where it all is. I know who I need to contact. I know who you need to contact, and I will help you do that. That takes an incredible amount of pressure away. And you can then you can say goodbye to the person who's died.